Reddit is built on rabbit holes. You click on one post, and then another, and then another, and an hour later, you're reading something you never expected to see. Most Reddit rabbit holes are harmless. Memes, drama, weird hobbies, and conspiracy threads that are more funny than frightening. But every so often, you fall into a thread that feels different. The deeper you scroll, the stranger it gets. The comments get darker, the users get more obsessive, and suddenly, it stops feeling like entertainment and starts feeling like a glimpse into something genuinely disturbing. Today, we're diving into some horrifying Reddit rabbit holes. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And let's get into it. Magnikin. When someone needs advice and has nowhere to turn other than the internet, Reddit is usually the first place they go. There's literally r/advice that has 3 million weekly visitors. And then not to mention the countless other subreddits focused on specific kinds of advice, like r/dating advice, for example. This is where user Magnikin made his first post. He titles it, 19 male, need help coming out of my shell? Rediscovered a person I went to high school with. Slowly became more and more interested in who they'd become since we parted ways. I watched their social feeds. They're not private, don't worry. I check up on their activity often. It's been 4 years, and each year I try to work up the courage to actually make a move. I don't know what to do at this point, since I really do think I love this person. I don't want to watch forever, but I don't want to mess it all up. Help? Not a very interesting post. In fact, pretty boring considering how crazy Reddit usually is, but there's a comment underneath this that stood out to me. One user replies with advice to just make the move and ask her out. In reply to that, someone says, "This is where it all started." Where what started? That feels like such a random thing for someone to say on such a normal, average post like this. Well, I took a look at that user's page and there was nothing exciting over there, just a normal guy on Reddit. So maybe this had something to do with the OP, Magnikin. And as soon as I went on his page, it was obvious this was what the user was talking about. Something had started here, and it was not normal. No, I couldn't just click off and go find something else. There was something wrong on this account. But you wouldn't think that from the bio. It says, I like anime and cute girls, I love cat girls, looking for relationship advice and dating help. 19 male, bi. Okay, cool. Regular teenager. Or not. Because then the OP made a second post. It was removed by the moderators of r/morbid questions, but it's titled, Can you drug someone into loving you? That's not even a morbid question, honestly. People on that subreddit are usually just curious about gross things that make the average person uncomfortable. And Magnikin's posts get more and more disturbing as they go on. Like he said in his bio, he wants dating help. He's desperate for love, which everyone wants love, but Magnikin, he seems to want more than that. One of his posts reads as, just keep watching and just keep listening and thinking that one day they'll fall in your lap and it'll be fine and they'll be yours and you'll be happy and it will be marriage. Another one reads as, used to stalk/steal from my high school crush so they'd beat me. Another one reads, very impatient. I don't like having to wait to show someone my love. I know it's what's best, but I feel like there's something chewing away at me inside. I feel full to bursting. I want. This is more than a hopeless romantic. Magnikin doesn't just want to take someone on dates, fall in love, get married. No, it's like he wants to be closer than humanly possible. Own them, even hurt them. On March 6th, 2022, he makes a post that reads as follows: "Always craving something I can't have. I can't even eat them anymore. They're gone forever and won't talk to me. They'll never talk to me. I want to see them cry so bad. I'll never see them cry." By this point, anyone looking at his profile is obviously creeped out. Magnakin is not some angsty teenager who has trouble expressing himself or finding love. He's jumping from stalking to hurting to eating them. Something is obviously wrong. Another post says, "I'm not sick, physically at least. I think there's something wrong. I can't fully be satisfied with animal meat. It's like asking a addict to start remedial self-pleasure. It doesn't work. It's not the real thing. It's a grotesque imitation meant to sate people who can't get what they want." Magnakin won't come out and just say it, but it's obvious the dude has cannibalistic urges or desires, and he's looking for people to eat. But he's framing it in this weird, almost poetic way. "Clear your plate. Eviscerate me. Leave nothing. Suck my bones clean. Keep me locked away in you. I love you." Another post reads, "I don't do it for the reasons others do. I think love looks like a lot of different things for me. Love isn't rigid, but it can be. It can hurt me like I want it to. It can grab me by the hips and make me bleed and beg to be let go. Love is so vulgar." And then, "Please don't take this as bragging, just atonement. If there's anything to clarify, I can try. Wouldn't you want to liberate someone from the pain they loathe? Constant agony they never stop screaming in pain from? It's torture. I don't torture. I give when there's no life left. Their gifts are left with me. I stay thankful for them. They're generous to me." And it's like he's shouting all of these into the void. Most of these posts have little to no engagement. There's no comments and maybe 1 or 2 upvotes. But the thing is, it's not private. All of these things he's getting off his chest are incredibly concerning, so luckily some users do start to catch on. When after weeks of writing these weird cryptic posts, Magnakin takes to r/vent to look for advice again. He asks, "Do people hate romance now?" Which feels like a crazy question coming from this guy. And then his post reads, "I went out of my way to make my crush a handwritten letter. It took me so long to think about, and I put my heart into that page. I sent it out, and now they're scared, all because I want to spend my life with them. I'm not angry, I just don't understand. Edit, maybe I'm too new to this Reddit stuff. Still growing, like a little growing thing. Please be patient with me. I'm sorry. Don't assume bad things about me." Again, someone might not see anything wrong with this. A teenage boy not sure how to talk to his crush. Someone might even want to reassure him that he shouldn't give up on his romance. He just needs to find the right person. But others see beyond that. Some people comment things like, I think you guys should take a look at OP's profile. Explains a lot, honestly. We're either dealing with a huge troll or an extremely dangerous person. Check OP's profile. Yeah, if it's the letter you wrote in blood, then obviously it is creepy. You're weird, dude. That last comment sent chills down my spine. This letter he was talking about, a sweet gesture for his crush, was possibly written in blood? I'm already so disturbed by this guy, but I had to look back and see what these comments are talking about. Well, the day before his post on r/vent, Magnakin made a couple of strange posts. First, a post titled, "Made this for my crush." He also attached a link to a picture. It's the letter, and it is so far from a regular love letter. The handwriting is a little hard to read, but from what I can tell, it says, "Each day you ignore my adoration and devotion to you. As a romantic, my intent may come off mildly strange. I'll keep it brief. I love the way you feel on my skin. Your smell, I know you taste divine. I need you. Bind me up and make me your everything. Make me one with the breath inside those pretty lungs." And yep, it looks to be written in blood, and obviously I cannot show it, but yeah, wildly disturbing. And that previous commenter wasn't lying. And there's splotches of blood randomly thrown on the page, sometimes covering the words. Basically, it's the definition of a nightmare. But no, this girl just doesn't like romance. There couldn't possibly be anything wrong with this sweet, thought-out, charming note. Yeah, said no one ever. But that's how Magnakin is acting. Like it's absurd that his crush wouldn't like his serial killer ransom note, which he also doubles down on. He posts on that same day. The post reads, "Made this for my crush. I hope they realize how serious I am about making us real and permanent. I hope I can get it to them before it oxidizes too much. The red is too pretty, very romantic color." And then he makes a third post with the same picture of his letter, and this title is "Not too shy, not too shy, not too shy, not too shy." It's like he's trying to build up confidence or something by repeating that, which is insane with such a bold move like this. There is lots of debate on whether the letter is written in real blood or not. One user comments and asks right out if it is. Magnakin replies and says, "Not shy anymore. Some of you have said I should take an initiative. I'm doing it. I want to feel proud of myself, and I want you to be proud of me and know that I listen." Which, to be honest, answers nothing. And the cryptic response could honestly point in either direction. One, that he is really out of his mind, and yes, that is definitely blood, or that he's making this extra dramatic to get more attention. It's hard to say. And the comments make it seem like the chances of either are 50-50. Someone says, "No, I've seen messages written in blood, looks nothing like this." And then someone replies saying, "Agree, that is not blood, looks like red ink. Blood dries darker, and when it dries, it flakes away unless you mix it with water." And then someone else replies saying, "You are right on the drying, but this is not dry. I had a very cringe state in my teenage years and wrote some stuff in blood and know what it looks like versus, say, dragon blood ink. Fake blood inks are darker on application, but when freshly written, blood does in fact look like this, I'm sad to say." Magnakin's only other response to this blood argument? "Fresh, unoxidized, got ugly rusty color after open air for too long. I think she hated it because the romance had gone away. You've been saying my wording was intense too. This is good advice. I will try again." This guy has a swarm of Reddit users calling him out for writing a letter written in blood, and he doesn't even try to deny it. He sees nothing wrong with it. In fact, he's getting frustrated with how much criticism he's getting. I don't know why everyone insists I'm trying to bother people here. I don't know what's edgy about speaking my mind. I know different websites have different language and culture. It's normal, but I am glad some people are being patient with me. I don't like cruelty for the sake of cruelty. He's attempting to make excuses for why his behavior may seem awkward or weird, but it's not just strange, and he's not just bothering people. He has post after post that allude to being criminally obsessed with others, hurting them, and then eating them. If this is all true, he's not just bothersome, he's truly sick. But there's some people that don't fully understand this. They think he just needs help, which he may, but not help that they can give him. Yet they're in his comments asking him to respond to their messages. I checked out your profile. Friend, listen to me carefully, please. Do you want to talk about it more in depth? I have a few questions for you. I really hope you will accept my offer. And no, romance is not dead. It differs per person. However, what for one qualifies as romance qualifies something other for a different person. Yet everything I want to discuss with you, I cannot do that in this comment alone. I hope you accept my request. I don't know. I think it feels extremely bizarre to try and have a conversation with this guy and think they can help him not be as crazy. I think the OP genuinely needs more help than a random account on Reddit can give him. But then again, Reddit can be a cesspool on the internet. Thousands of people brought together by their disturbing interests. There's plenty of people on Magnikin's page that are not put off by this, but actually pretty intrigued. In a reply to someone telling him how fascinating he is, a deleted user replies, "You are literally feeding his ego. He's not fascinating. He's just being a troll for attention, and worse, he might have killed someone." And I think that user said it perfectly. Whether this is all fake or not, telling him how interesting it is just a terrible idea. Because what if it is all real? Or there are other people following along who do genuinely feel these things, and someone's encouragement of Magnikin will only push them forward. It's so careless to treat these posts as anything less than terrifying, because it's not just what Magnikin is posting, we haven't even gotten to the comments that he makes as well. He's a frequent user of r/morbid questions and r/death, and he makes a lot of disturbing comments on there. On one post where someone posted a picture of an animated girl with her stomach cut open, Magnikin comments, "Always have to hold these sides together after this, but the effort is worth it. If you press anything tight enough around your bottom half, the sensation is amazing." And on another post where someone cut off the legs of an anime girl, he strikes again. It's funny. Once everything gets detached, it's never that smooth. It's always got a ridge or a knob or dimple, regardless of how much you cauterize or cut off. Any ideas on how to achieve this? And I'm using the less graphic comments that I could find. Seriously, it gets worse. So much worse. And what feels even more scary about these is that on these subreddits, there are no other concerned users. Everyone on these subreddits just backs them up, joins in on the fantasy. I mean, one user replies to that last comment and says, "I think it would take a lot of sanding down to get it smooth, but the end would be worth it." I actually feel sick reading through these. It doesn't really matter if it's animated, disturbing videos and fake and maybe just a fantasy for these people. When someone makes AI or animated versions of illegal material, it's still disgusting. And Magnikin is no different. I don't disagree with a lot of the discourse on his page that he needs help. Yeah, obviously that's true. But until he gets this obsession with hurting people, then having intimacy with them, and then eating them is incredibly dangerous. So yeah, I hope he gets help for the sake of the people around him and their safety. But we'll never really know. The last thing Magnikin leaves is a reminder of his two favorite anime characters, Tomoya and Nagisa from Clannad. He's mentioned them a couple of times before throughout his time on Reddit. Tomoya to my Nagisa, I don't ask for much and don't demand for anything. I beg for a love so pure. Soft and safe, one day I'll have my Nagisa, my Tomoya, one day. And so, 6 months after his first ever post, he makes his last post with just a photo of these characters and the title, Everything to Me. He's again trying to play himself off as a hopeless romantic, that all he's ever wanted is a girlfriend, a boyfriend, a soulmate, to feel desired, wanted, and loved. And it's not hard to dig a little deeper and see how that's bullshit. He wants a lot more than that, and we can only hope he never got what he wanted. Erase the Matrix. Conspiracy theories are widespread on the internet. It's common to hear arguments on whether reptiles control our government, if certain celebrities are actually dead and now clones of themselves, or if the moon landing was fake. A lot of times, these are just entertaining rabbit holes to discuss and theorize on. Sometimes, though, people get really involved, like make an entire career out of it. This is David Icke. David used to be a soccer player and later a sports broadcaster, but this changed in 1990. He started to visit a psychic who told him that he had been placed on Earth for a reason, that the spirit world would send messages to him, and his purpose was to spread what he received. After a moment of enlightenment at a burial ground in Peru, he started to understand these messages. This kickstarted a new chapter in his life, where he began public speaking and writing books on his beliefs. These weren't the average spiritual concepts he was believing in, like karma or crystals. These were more like conspiracy theories. Extreme conspiracy theories. David strongly believes that the top leaders, or the extremely wealthy, such as Elon Musk, Donald Trump, or members of the Rothschild family, are not humans, but rather interdimensional reptilians called Archons. These people, or rather reptilians, control the world in a way that creates negative energy in us humans. This idea supports a theory that's popular on Reddit, specifically on r/escape prison planet. Here, users agree that life on Earth is not just life, but actually a soul farm, that we are held against our will here, and that captivity continues with reincarnation. Why? Well, for the reptilians to feed on us. They like the negative energy they create in us, and it sustains them. Basically, they believe we're living in a science fiction movie. I mean, who knows? The world is more than insane right now. It's not delusional to think that people in power have evil intentions. Honestly, that's not even a hot take. But these beliefs start to feel more ulterior when followers start to practice ways of escaping the prison planet. This includes things like hypnosis, lucid dreaming, and astral projection. User Erase the Matrix is a frequent user on the Escape Prison Planet subreddit and is very familiar with all of these conspiracies. His account was created on February 19th, 2022. His posts are all sharing his experience trying to, well, escape the prison planet, or the Matrix as he often calls it. It's been 4 years since the creation of his account, but he has not stopped trying to discover the truth and find a way out. This is his most recent post. Fear in the grids. I've been communicating with people from another Matrix, and they told me some crazy stuff, but they recently told me about fear in the grids. Fear in the grids is pure evil and malevolence being pumped through the grid system into almost every home. Negative entities take fear energy that they harvest from us and convert it into the energy of sheer evil and malevolence. It takes a lot of energy to do that. They pump it into our homes through the grid. Fear in the grids suppresses consciousness. Without fear in the grids, we would be able to astral travel almost at will. Without fear in the grids, the Earth would drop in density 30%, and it would be much lighter. There is also dense negative energy in populated areas. It's piled up, hundreds of it, in the air. If it wasn't there, the Earth's density would drop another 10 to 15%. Fear in the grids is extremely malevolent. It degrades the soul and makes the soul shatter into pieces. The soul is not the true self, it is just an energy body. Consciousness is the true self. Fear in the grids suppresses consciousness because being around pure evil and malevolence most of the time is extremely degrading. It keeps you in a limited box. The Saturn cube, it makes you think that there is nothing wrong with the world when almost everything is wrong with the world. It makes astral projection extremely difficult when it would otherwise be easy. So astral projection becomes difficult, so you spend most of your time in the Matrix, surrounded by pure evil. The good guys have started removing fear in the grids. Expect to be able to astral travel almost at will within the next 5 days. You will be able to spend hours or even days in the astral. In case the Cabal have me killed for what I'm saying, my name is, I'm not going to give it out. I'm from Tennessee, USA. I will not commit S-word, so if I end up dead soon, it wasn't me, it was the Cabal. Thanks for reading my post. Astral projecting, the grid, traveling interdimensionally. These things aren't theories for him. In all of his posts, he seems quite sure. For those who don't know, astral projecting is an out-of-body experience where someone intends for their consciousness to travel to different places, usually outside of the physical realm. It's not a new phenomenon that only OP is experiencing. The CIA actually had a program called the Stargate Project. It was during the Cold War where they ran experiments to see if they could train psychic spies to get information on the Soviets. The project was eventually shut down after deciding the data they were getting was too vague. So it's not like he's the only one doing this. But like I said, the data was inconclusive. Astral projection is not scientifically proven. It's more a subjective experience like deep meditation. But OP, he is 100% positive that he is traveling through space and time. I've been astral traveling for over a decade. I've seen a lot of crazy things. I've been to a couple dozen hell worlds, and they were all paradise compared to Earth. In the astral, you don't feel pain. At least it is very rare to. In the astral, I've been shot, stabbed, set on fire, hit by supernovas, fallen into black holes, etc. I've done all kinds of crazy things, and I've rarely felt pain. So you don't have to be afraid of going to hell. I went to a hell world once that had tons of medieval torture devices and even was paradise compared to Earth. A gray alien once tried to torture me with his mind, causing me to feel pain, but I stopped him. So you don't feel pain over there, so it is just something you don't need to worry about. There are some really unpleasant afterlife worlds that are just bottomless pits where you just free fall unless you take control and fly. Those are not fun, but most of them aren't that bad. Most of the bad ones are your typical fire and brimstone burning in a lake of fire type hells. You feel the heat from the fire, but it doesn't hurt, so it's not that bad. The only place you really feel pain is Earth. Earth is hell, just without the fire and brimstone. I've been to a lot of places, and I've never been anywhere as bad as Earth. So the worst thing that could happen to you when you drop dead is that you reincarnate on Earth. So don't do it. Negative entities run the reincarnation system, and it's a scam. They disguise themselves as angels, spirit guides, dead relatives, religious figures, God, etc. Then they show you a review of your life to try to make you feel guilty. Then they tell you you should reincarnate to pay off bad karma. It's a scam. Tell them to take a hike. So as far as I know, Earth is the worst place there is. I've never been anywhere as bad as Earth, and I've been to a lot of other places. So don't be afraid of going to hell, and don't come back to Earth. Pretty much anywhere else is going to be a paradise by comparison. Okay, for most reading this, a couple of questions pop up. Is this user in psychosis? Is he on drugs? Is he really bored and enjoys creating fantastical narratives for Reddit? Or are we the crazy ones and this all makes perfect sense? Honestly, whether any of that is true or not, it's just sad. Obviously, Earth has its downfalls. I mean, this channel covers so many heartbreaking, horrific, and downright terrible things. No one can argue with Erase the Matrix that it can be hard to live through so much of that. I cite the previous story. But to prefer an eternity falling endlessly into a black hole is just really depressing. It's horrible to imagine that this guy spends hours and hours traveling through other worlds, whether they're real or not, because he can't stand the reality his body is in, or trust anyone around him. He doesn't even believe David Icke, the spokesperson for all of these beliefs. I don't trust Icke. He's probably a shill. That said, his information is usually right. I've been reading his most recent book and learned a lot. Most of it I already confirmed with my own research. So if he is lying, it's not about something I can verify. Most likely, he's being used to discredit the information, have someone who the public doesn't see as credible put out the truth. That is Icke. Either that or he's planning to misdirect people at some point in the future, or both. So I don't trust him, but his right to travel should not be infringed on. In OP's posts, he talks constantly about shills. Someone that is secretly selling something that they're pretending that they have no connection to. What David Icke is selling, I have no idea. But if he's unable to trust him, I don't know who the OP trusts. It seems like instead of having much connection with anyone or interacting with anything around him, he's just living in an alternate reality. Is he enjoying the things that Earth does have to offer? Ice cream, puppies, friendship? The list can go on and on. I don't know, but I hope so. He does argue the theory of his proposed psychosis. One user comments, "You never win because they're manifestations of your own mind. Psychosis. You can't defeat yourself." Erase the Matrix says, psychosis is actually caused by negative entity attachments. Look up Jerry Marcinski. He worked in a lunatic asylum for 30 years. And according to him, people who are schizophrenics actually have heavy negative entity attachments. The attachments get so extreme, they actually start hearing and in some cases, seeing negative entities. So other people think they have gone mad when really they are just aware of other dimensions. And OP does get attached to these negative entities. I'm probably a dead man. For the past few days, I've been under heavy negative entity attack. They are manipulating my veins to try to give me blood clots. I've never seen or heard of anything like it. They must really hate me. The amount of energy to do something like that is astronomical. They must be burning through mountains of negative energy. So this is probably my last post. I'm probably a dead man. So if you don't hear from me again, that is probably why. But if anyone has any suggestions for how to repel an insane negative entity attack, I'm all ears. Thanks for reading. This is probably my last post. Goodbye. So that post may be him admitting he's in psychosis, but it's not psychosis as we know it. He still believes that what's happening to him is completely real and not possibly coming from his head. But either way, something is clearly wrong. This man is not living in the same world we are, but not in the way he thinks. It's honestly heartbreaking to watch, but there's not much other Reddit users could do, except keep watching, waiting for the next update. And luckily, that post was not his last. No, in fact, he's been posting as I've been writing this, so neither was the first post we read, if anyone was worried someone had him killed. He writes, in the next week or two, the Earth is going to be down to 30% less dense than it was normally. The age of Aquarius energy is going to reduce the density of the planet. I've spent some time in less dense worlds when astral traveling. If you don't control your fear, you are going to create your own hell. It will be paradise compared to how Earth is at the moment, but it won't be fun. So when the Earth gets down to 30% density, you need to know how to handle rogue manifestations. If it is just your own individual rogue manifestations, you just imagine that it doesn't exist. If it's rogue manifestations propped up by a group of people, it's more of a problem. You have to get those people to imagine that it doesn't exist. So if you are not prepared when the Earth gets down to 30% density, you will manifest your own fears. Also, the Earth is going up in frequency. So when that happens, you should try to avoid negative thoughts, or it will lower your frequency. If you have to defend yourself against negative entities, that is fine, but not start fights because it will lower your frequency. Also, the energy of the age of Aquarius will make it so the politicians will have a much harder time lying. So they will probably tell the truth most of the time. So it's going to get crazy and be a hell of a show. It should be awesome, so break out the popcorn and have fun. He also says, it's all out energetic war in my house. It's turned into a war of escalation. I've got clearing audios playing in 200 tabs in my browser, but it hasn't been enough. So I told the audios to increase their positive energy output to match the amount of negative energy that negative entities are throwing at me and pumping into my house. So it's the immovable object versus the unstoppable force. Fortunately, I have a near unlimited supply of positive energy, whereas they have a limited supply of negative energy. I don't know what it is about me, but they view me as a very serious threat and are very intimidated by me. So they're throwing shitloads of negative energy at me. I hope I win and have peace and quiet in my own house, because it is my house and they are intruders, and when intruders come into your house, you are justified in using whatever level of force is necessary to get them to leave. Whether astral projection or other dimensions, aliens, any of it is real, it must be beyond exhausting to live this way. Whether he defeats the negative entities in the astral world or he wakes up and decides to live here on Earth, hopefully that peace and quiet is what he finds, and I wish the OP the best. But he's not alone. As I explored this subreddit, there are plenty of other people who think exactly like he does. Hundreds of users across hundreds of posts, all of them expressing exactly what he is attempting to discuss. War is imminent. People are dying. People are suffering. The world sucks. We need to escape. There's really not even a person in this thread attempting to support an alternative. And honestly, I can't blame them. Like, look, a lot of them are clearly mentally ill, but theories like these aren't new, and they don't come from nowhere. They're a symptom of a bigger issue, and that issue is, well, the world is kind of a scary place right now. There's a lot of conflict, and a lot of people are feeling manipulated and subjugated right now. So, like I said, it's really no shock that this subreddit is so popular. Currently, it's sitting at 20,000 weekly visitors. That's nothing to sneeze at. The users on r/escaping prison planet don't trust the world we live in anymore. They don't trust the government, the people in power, the rich, etc. And just more than that, they don't like it. Their belief is existential. It's bleak, but yeah, I can't necessarily disagree with their anger and the fear they have. But I'm a very hopeful guy. And although things look dark right now, I believe one day it will get better. I believe that. This world can be a difficult place, but there are genuinely good people in this world. Family, friends, loved ones. And I hope that one day we won't have entire communities wanting to leave all of that behind because of a couple bad people. Maybe I'm a dreamer, but yeah, that's my hope.